The Wellness Show, episode number 352.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. All right, we're live on Facebook. Welcome to The Wellness Show.
Morning.
Health, wealth, and enlightenment. So a busy day today. It's raining here in Shuswap, moistening the garden, bringing through the new crop. And I want to talk about all across America and Canada. I'm getting reports from various people. Thank you for sending me all these reports. I feel like I'm Grand Central Station, but the news is not good. It looks like our food supply chain is being shut down under the guise of COVID-19. So it's the same with American farmers. I just got reports from them and from Canadian farmers, particularly in the cattle industry. They're being told to slaughter all their herds because they can't be moved. Farmers being told to plow up their crops because it can't be distributed. So we're headed for a huge food shortage. So I cannot stress enough to get that garden in. Get it going, because who knows what's coming down the pike. Hopefully we can get this all straightened out. It looks like America is starting to reopen the economy, and some of the provinces in Canada are getting ready to open the economies too, but we'll have a bit of a time lag between that. It also looks like there's a bigger thing afoot. Both the American Cattle Association and the report, I wanted to show the video and play it to you because I love it coming from a real cowboy himself standing in his field talking to Americans about what's happening. Is far stronger than me talking to you about the problem. But basically he said is that we're being told to slaughter all our cows, dump all of our milk, pull up all of our fields of vegetables, yet they're bringing in Argentina beef. And they're bringing in beef from South America, which does not have the same standards necessary for quality beef as we do both in America and Canada. So why are they being told to slaughter beef in one hand, and they're importing beef from those that have less environmental laws on the other hand? The same is in Canada. I just got a report there from a farmer there, a rancher, saying that McDonald's has said that they no longer want their beef to come from Canada because Canada cannot supply their beef that they require. So they're bringing it in from South America. So they're using the same excuse, the same guys, to bring in cheaper meat from foreign countries that have less environmental controls on the production of the meat. Personally, I don't eat meat, but if you're going to have quality meat, then, one thing I love about these ranchers and farmers is they're really proud of what they produce, and that it's the best quality that you can imagine. So that's why they're standing up and saying, wake up, America, you need to know what's happening here. So that's what's coming from the fields of America and Canada. Same story, right? The pipeline of food is being shut down, okay? I don't like to say that, but let's be honest about it. Whether freeing up the economy will allow the supply lines to be unplugged so the food can be moved, I don't know. But I do really encourage you, if you're listening to this show, to source out your own local food. Your food is always better if it comes from your bioregion and has the strength and vitality necessary for you, according to many in the macrobionic, yeah, I think that's how you say it, system. The closer that you get the food, the better you're going to be health-wise. So 60-mile radius, I know it's really hard to do 60 mile, but even if it's 250-mile radius of where you live, it will be better, higher quality nutrient value for you because it's coming from the soil and the energy that's being impregnated into the plants from the star systems and from the planets. So it's regionally giving you the nutrient value that you need in your body, okay? So there you are. That's the truth of it. Ain't not telling any lies. That's the way it is. So maybe, if we look at this at a very positive way, maybe it's a way for us to get more connected to our local growers, to our own bioregion, to our own communities, that we can support each other at the regional level, right? And stop doing this craziness of paying for all this import, export, gas, trains, planes to move food around the world when we should be supporting our local growers. Where I live is one of the best fruit producing areas in the world. They've all been plowed under. All the trees have been cut down. They've all been damaged. Why? Because there's no market, because other countries can undersell the quality, or sorry, the production of the fruit. But what's the quality of the fruit that we're getting? You know, does it's being sprayed with herbicides, pesticides? We have no control over what their environmental standards are. So, you know, I really, really encourage you to source out your local community food supply. Right? Yeah. There's a whole group I know in New York area that actually knows and identified all the wild fruit trees, and they have them all mapped out, and they literally go and pick them, right? From abandoned homesteads and everything, because they know that locally sourced food is so much more has so much more vitality for them than anything that they can buy in the store. Anyway, food is really important to me. I like to eat. I like high quality food. I think other people should have the right to have good food, high quality water. So that's the report from the food production system of beef producers, milk being dumped, vegetables being plowed under, and the food chain of food distribution being disrupted. And at the same time, imports coming in from other countries to supply that food chain. It makes no sense to me. This is crazy making. All right, latest report from Canada, 60% of Canadians believe that we should be inoculated and be for COVID-19 once the vaccination is here. So from that point of view, people are being snowed under with the belief that the government's going to rescue you. We need to have a flu shot, when the evidence is that those that have flu shots have a worse time than those that don't have a flu shot. Hey, read this studies yourself, do your own research. Don't believe what I'm telling you, but do your research, right? This is really, you know, this is really comes down to trying to think of the Shakespearean quote, to something or not to. That is the question. What is that from Shakespeare? So anyway, using Shakespeare, to be chipped or not to be chipped, that's the question. Okay, to be chipped or not to be chipped, that is the question.
Right.
And if you believe your government is going to chip you for all the benevolent reasons you think, it's, I wish you good luck on that. All right, so it looks like the public is being swayed that we need to be rescued by our government. Also, my partner Sarah Rohr was doing, she works with a crystal skull and uses it as her muse, and downloaded this morning, and I was talking about the middle generation. What I mean by that, our generation, my generation, you know, we're in the retirement phase. I'm not retired, but our income is rather steady, and we have an opportunity to look back at our lives and make judgments about what choices we made or didn't make. The newest generation coming up, which is raising their children, is looking at the whole thing in a different way. Like we know on this show, they're making decisions about raising their own children. They're talking about the mom staying at home. They're looking at a much more flexible work schedule, and you know, do I really want to give my life to a company? They're much more flexible on how they live their lives and what they're willing and prepared to sacrifice or not to sacrifice to do. The other generation, you know, in their 40s and in that area, that's where it's difficult. Look, they're part of the establishment in a sense. Their jobs depend on the status quo. So any questioning of what's going on, if you talk to your brothers or sisters or anybody in your family that's in that generation, you know, it's very scary for them because their whole livelihood is in question because they're part of the whole machinery. And so for them to even begin to consider anything other than that. Is their livelihood, their, what they went to university for. They're so locked into the matrix, to actually question the matrix is way too scary for them. So they'll fight tooth and nail saying, I don't want to know what you know. That's all conspiracy theory. Don't bother me. Leave me alone. And it's a natural reaction that they're having. And we need to have compassion, because it's not going to be easy for that group to wake up. All right. This is from Stoughton, Wisconsin.
Stoughton, Wisconsin, I think.
Hello, welcome to the Wellness Show.
Good morning, Tyson, Florida. It's Matt. How are you today?
We're fine, Matt. How's life in your world?
It's wet today.
Yeah, it's wet here too. Yeah, it's wet out there.
Hey, not to change topics what you were talking about, and I had to cut off so I could call you. The last couple of days, things have been really different. Strange vibes in the air, strange everything. I took my son driving last night. We're out in the country, and I come up on this field, and no exaggeration, there had to be at least 100 to 200 turkeys in there, along with 7 to 12 deer, along with the red foxes, along with some geese, and they're all moving together in like a herd.
Wow.
And they're going along the fence line, and the longhorn deer that are being raised on this farm are moving with them. Never seen anything like that in my life, especially with a red fox and birds being around. They're gonna try and get some dinner. There was no chasing going on. There was no nothing.
So what do you make of all this?
That's what I called you. I don't know what to make of it. In my opinion, the air is so pure, and this spring is probably one of the cleanest springs and greenest springs I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. And I thank God for that, because he's teaching us a good lesson.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something interesting going on with wildlife as well. I mean, we have 3 bear cubs here. We don't know. I haven't seen the mom yet, but they're sort of tumbling onto the road, and I'm hoping they're okay. I've been phoning around to make sure that if anybody can see their mom. So wildlife is much closer because humans are not out and about. So we have all sorts of wildlife right in the cities themselves, right? So it's really interesting to see what it would be like if we could cohabitate with wildlife, right?
Right. Right. And they were moving in such unison last night that when there was a bolt of lightning that went through the sky, and everything stopped. Every one of them animals stopped dead in their tracks.
I wonder if they're. So where is this? Is it in a very rural area or what?
Yeah, it's between Madison and Edgerton, just outside of a city called gov't, where I live. And, we were completely rural where we were. This field is fenced in, so all these animals had to get into the field, which turkeys fly, deer jump, foxes sneak under the fence.
So do you know whether there's been any 5G employed in that area?
I don't.
I mean, I was just wondering, if I was an animal, I would think that at those higher frequencies, I would be able to pick up frequencies better than a human about what was adversely affecting me. So I was just wondering where the animals were moving away from something that they felt was threatening. And it was so strong for them that, interspecies competition or predator prey, that was overridden because there was something bigger they needed to deal with.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I do. What in the Bible it says that the lion will lie down with the lamb. What does that mean? I mean, on some level, with grace, the whole thing about eat and be eaten, I think falls away.
Right.
But I don't know that for sure. But why is that even in the Bible?
But,
yeah.
and one thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
the one thing that struck me related to the Bible is, when the ark was built, it was kind of like that type of movement with the animals. They were just all going together.
Right. Right.
And, there was a storm approaching. It ended up fizzling out. We got some rain. It's rained harder today than they said it was going to last night. But so you try and figure out why. And sometimes there is no answer. It's just
Well, there is an answer. It's just that we don't know how to pick up the answer quite yet. There's always an answer. It's just that we're not on the same frequency to understand the answer yet.
I got the same thing you did with 5G.
Sorry?
I got the same answer you did, that it has something to do with 5G. They're putting up,
Laura thinks it has something to do with 5G.
they're putting up strings of satellites too.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's send a message out to all the animals that we love them and we care for them. And, nothing makes me feel so more comfortable than when I go out and see the birds flying around in my bird feeder or see the deer come to feed in my front yard. I mean, to me, having that ability to be close to wildlife or watch the eagles fly over my house and where I live, the ospreys have just come back to nest. So, for me, being close to wildlife is why I live where I do, right? It just gives me so much joy.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't think of a world without having close proximity to wildlife.
Right.
So
go ahead. I loved it. Just wanted to share it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Anybody else up there has any other feedback about unusual movement of animals that seems out of the ordinary, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you. We want a benevolent life for all of life, right? Not just for humans. Right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The line's now open. I know somebody was phoning in. We weren't able to catch you, but you can phone in now. The line is open. 1-866-369-7464. Ready to take your call today.
So my dog last night at like 2:30 in the morning woke me up, and he was acting extremely strange. Was digging like into me, wouldn't stop twitching and like move, but like was so hard up against my back too. Like he wouldn't, it was so strange. And even right now, he's just on me. Always, and I don't understand it. This is very strange behavior for him. But we were probably up for an hour last night while he couldn't settle down. Right. I was like, what is going on?
Well, I think energies, in that video you sent me, the Schumann resonance is all over the place, the heartbeat of the earth is really, and I think we're being really inundated by solar flares and, and cosmic energies. And if we start thinking about your precursor or your vision that you were given in your nightmare or dream or whatever you want, that there's so much coming at us, right? From so many different timelines literally, if we go by the Mayan calendar, as our consciousness speeds up our ability to think, then the timelines collapse because they're all an illusion that's built into the grid called Earth, into the polarity. And as our consciousness speeds up, past, present, and future, and past lives, future lives, and this life all collapse into one. So, we're running all these parallel timelines that haven't even been manifest into reality. They're all available as true, fully functioning experiences, right?
And this morning when I was meditating, I got that it's really the young children, the crystalline kids that are being born right now that's actually gonna be the change within the environment. That's what I was told this morning.
We were on the show last night, and one of the people on the show with Shelley Darling was saying that one of the people was his daughter just had given birth, and we were so amazed that here this child is chosen to come in at this particular time. And of course, we all wondered, well, how are we going to name this child? Because it's such an important time. So everybody got involved in this. How does one do this, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's something special about any child that would choose to incarnate on the planet at this particular time. Mm-hmm. I do want to talk about children. This is not a nice topic, but I'm going to bring it up. But for those who don't know, you need to do your own research about pedophilia. You need to do your own research about what's going on with Illuminati and the Satanists and the abuse of children. This is a gross, disgusting, overwhelmingly brutal, scary load of information that I don't wish. I wish there was, we lived in a planet where this was not ever possible, but it is going on. I can only hope that that timeline by some people saying that it's actually the arrests are happening now. I've seen some evidence in the actual news that the pedophilia rings are being closed down. Whether it's to the extent where these other reports are saying, I don't know, but it's time. I'm talking about something that is so insidious, so evil. So,
but that's what the 5 dimension is about, is no more hiding, no more darkness, no more of this. That's why it's coming out. The
truth will be revealed. It says in the Bible, the truth will be revealed. At the end times, you get to choose, but the truth will be revealed. They used a comparison with what happened in Nazi Germany with the extermination camps. That when this is all over and we're shown what the Satanists were doing on this planet and the control they had, it will be as much shock as the Nuremberg trials. But anyway, so do your research, everybody. We want to bring a timeline of peace, love, and brotherhood for all of life, not just for humans. So,
and in doing meditation this morning and having some insight within what's been going on within myself, I was also shown that the president may be that person, and this time where all of his negative attributes, why we despise him so much, is because that's what we despise about ourselves, all the lies and all the deceit and all the greed and all of that. He represents all of that. So what is he doing? He's mirroring it back to us as a whole. And you and I both know that what we don't like in others is what we need to heal within ourselves. So we have a whole society that's like in an uproar about this, but really let's look at ourselves on our level.
Right. Absolutely.
And do that within ourselves.
Yeah, blessings to President Trump, who's the trumpet, the last call of Armageddon will be the trumpet will blare. So Mr. Trumpet, Mr. Trump the trumpet. The thing about trumpet is that he can't be controlled. I mean, if I was going to put somebody in power that could shake up the establishment and the status quo and destroy the matrix, would be somebody who was so thick-skinned and so egomaniacal into himself that he was uncontrollable, that he wouldn't listen to anybody and nobody could buy him because he's already super rich, and that he has his own agenda, and that there's some part of himself that's connected to source consciousness, even through all the craziness of who he be, that he would allow himself to know the truth on a higher level. In some ways, God bless him, I think Trump is that guy. I think he's that guy. I really do. I mean, I couldn't think, if we thought of putting Hillary in, where it's just like, that was the end of the world.
I was told he was the lesser of two evils. So, and that was in April before he was elected in November. So, and I didn't understand what it meant at the time, but I do now.
Some really strongly believe that the whole pedophilia rings that are being shut down is because of Trump. That Trump made that a commitment, right? And he signed the fact, and that arrests are underway, and that the part of this whole lockdown is to that we're not in the way of this happening on a worldwide basis. Is that true? I don't know. If I could vote on which timeline I want, I would vote yes. Let's do this, right? Let's do this. Let's get this done once and for all. Let's root this out of our culture, out of our tradition, out of our behavior patterns. Let's have the Satanists have their own planet, but not a planet that I'm inhabiting. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Enough with taking our children and doing with them what you may, and living in fear. I'm tired of it. I don't
I'm
want
tired of
to live in
It's
fear.
got to be the most disgusting. There's one other disgusting thing for me. That was that birthed the deep clearing protocol. That was that aliens, entities, discarnate beings could inhabit human beings' bodies and live off their negative energy. To me, that pissed me off so much. I couldn't believe that were even possible. I was so angry. I was so upset, right? That then made me wake up and get together the deep clearing protocol, because I was just so upset. Nothing except, this is the same thing with pedophilia. It upsets me in the same way. That there's just, I can't believe that anybody would do that to a child. I just, it's like unbelievable. So
Right.
I have the same
But we
feeling.
all know that there's a reason for everything, and it's all.
I understand that. I can get to the fact about what an entity is doing in another person's body to wake them up. I still can't grasp what the hell a pedophilia would be allowed to do in my timeline, right? I can't grasp that yet. Sorry. I just get angry.
Right.
I just get angry.
I get it.
I just get angry. Really angry.
Anything that has no say or no power, animals, children, elderly, I have the same.
But I have to confess, I'll confess right here, one of the biggest problems I'm having is the slaughtering of animals for food. I know that there'll come a time on this planet where we'll see that crimes against humanity and crimes against animals are no different, that a concentration camp for humans and the slaughter of humans is no different than the concentration camp for a pig, a chicken, a cow, or any other animal that's then put to slaughter or butchery. So that's my own personal opinion. And I do know that we collectively create the world that we live in. So, and the consequences of that is that Mother Gaia is a living entity, and she responds to the total sum level of consciousness on this planet. So by abusing other life forms, the consequences are extremely strong, that there has to be a reckoning taking place, which is just the same as like going in and bombing another country, to get the oil or whatever. So it's part of us waking up. It's part of us getting to understand who we are and being responsible for every level of our being. Am I there yet? No. Do I like my eating eggs every once in a while? Yeah. So I'm not a total vegan, right? I have my own things. It took me a long time to have compassion for my cows, right? I had a raw milk dairy. I was part of operating the last raw milk dairy in British Columbia. So I know what it's like to be around cows and to love cows. And I just saw a film where the cows are licking this cat, and the cat's just like, the big cow lick coming over the cat, and he's being loved by these cows. And the other cows are pushing the ones in the front away so they can have a turn to lick the cat as well. And I think, that's what animals want to do, right? Or seeing the picture of the cows being released from the barn to be able, and they just start frolicking and dancing in the field. They're so excited. They're just like, their udders are flopping around as they jump. And, to me, it's liberation as animals is so important.
And I appreciate all of this. It seems like the show's kind of matching the weather right now. What if we were to kind of change gears a little bit and talk about ascension, and that I keep going into this thoughts of ascension and how we're moving up in all of this, and through it all, what we're talking about is working through that to get to the ascension, to be able to get
absolutely. Ascension comes when we deal with the lower parts of ourselves, the dark night of the soul, the shadow part of ourselves, and we open it with open arms and realize that it's like the wax that makes the light on the candle flame grow, right? There's a divine mother energy, which it says darkness to, oh, here I go. I've gone out of my brain. Darkness to joy light. I love that. Think of it. All the darkness, right? To joy light. There's so much opportunity to transform. If you take all the darkness of all of the unconsciousness on the planet, and because it's the fuel for the candle of light, and we use that to light the candle, right? That how much light there would be. I mean, it would be, whether you call it fifth dimensional, or this planetary ascension, or Terra, the new Earth, or whatever you want to call it. If you think of all the dark, which is being transformed into the light, it is staggering how much that light there would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so it's no different for personal evolution, and that's what my book's about. Is as above, so below. When we do the work inside of ourselves, it's no different than the work that we're doing as citizens of, or global citizens on planet Earth. When we remove the trauma collectively, the Earth will ascend, right? It's just no different than a human. The consciousness will rise, and we'll live in a different dimensional reality. I mean, it's all energy, and this is how we do it. So, wherever we can wake up, and whatever way we can do it, whether it's our food supply, or whether it's stopping the pedophilia rings, or waking up our government, or taking back our responsibility, or being able to access our food bioregionally, or to clean up our own water systems. All of those are part of it.
Protocol, and to clear ourselves, and to start with ourselves, which all includes everything that you just said, but it does definitely start with ourselves.
Absolutely. And by the way, the new class for Friday is on a parasite clearing protocol. Did you know that 80 to 90% of the population on planet Earth has parasites?
Well, I think we have lots of bugs on us.
Yeah, and these are parasites that are bloodsuckers. They're no different than what we're talking about with they're organic living entities of the parasites that we're clearing in the deep clearing protocol, or the pedophilia rings that we're clearing. It's no different. These are energy systems that feed on the living life forms, the energy of other human beings. Now, there can be things that feed on each other that create some sort of balance. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about parasites that literally drain your energy and give you the disease and disorder. And I just did the list. That's one of the reasons we couldn't get on here. I was finishing the list of what symptoms parasites can give you. And it's pretty well every symptom of every major disease that you can imagine can be, doesn't mean it is, but can be attributed to parasite infestation. So if this is something that you want to learn about, my partner Sarah Rohr did a lot of research, and I helped her to pull this information together from different sources. And yes, there's herbal remedies that we'll give you that you can do, but we've done some experiments with dowsing and got really, really good results by using energetic dowsing to remove the parasites and move them to the light. So I don't think it has to be as complicated as herbal remedies and all of that. I'm not saying don't do that. It might be good to do that at the same time. So that's 10 o'clock on Friday, 10 to noon Pacific time. If you want to join us, it's $44 US. And we'll go deep in it. We'll come up with the protocol on how to do this, and you'll end up with eight pages of charts. They're really detailed charts that Sarah has got from different sources. So I'll see if I can just show you quickly what that looks like.
And they can go to the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy and sign up for the class.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like in a binder. I don't know if you can see that, but.
Oh, yeah.
So, 8 pages of that, right? So we would douse, which, do you have parasites, what type of parasite it is, what extent of parasites do you have? When do you need to do the clearing to get to take care of all the eggs as they hatch at different time cycles. We'll give you the whole protocol of how to do this for you and your clients. Really important, really important. Because again, if we're talking about evolution of consciousness, we're talking about, Kundalini energy, we're talking about you becoming enlightened, then we want the energy in your body to be there for you to raise your conscious, not to feed parasites.
Right. I know I had parasites this last year about this time, I think, actually, that I got rid of. No, it was a year and a half ago. But regardless, I understand it's way more common than what we're led to believe. Way more common.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doctors don't have tests for this, and they don't really know a lot about it. I mean, I love the doctors and the job that they do, but this is just one body of information they're not familiar with for whatever reason. So let's fill that gap. So as energetic healers and those that you help other people, let's get this information out so you can live a healthy lifestyle.
Right. Well, and that's why you say that the testing, the meat testing, and in the United States is so good, but the deregulation of it is not. So when you talk about getting meat from other countries, I honestly don't think that it's going to be any different than getting it here, since the USDA it's been deregged.
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up. I wasn't even going to mention it, but if you're eating meat, even more reason you got to clear parasites, right?
Clear parasites and know where you're getting your meat from, like local farmers that love their animals and keep it small and clean, and their animals are happy and organic, and it's a good circle, like it was when I was growing up.
Absolutely, and that you know your local butcher and you know how he operates, right?
Yeah,
I know from talking to inspectors in meat plants, what they have to allow to go through. They would say, "I'd never feed my kids that meat."
Right.
So I mean, look, standards. Those standards are the minimum. If you understand what I mean, right there. But if you're working at the local level and you have a butcher that his whole life his livelihood depends on being a conscious butcher.
Sam, his name is Sam, and he's a very nice man.
Exactly. Then his whole reputation depends on doing a good job. And therefore he's going to do the best he can. He's going to be the most benevolent. And if you're taking him your favorite heifer or your favorite sheep, right? And you're from a ranching family and your kid got your 4-H award for raising that sheep, you better take it to somebody who is responsible, because your kid's going to go through crisis otherwise. So, I mean, this is the whole thing. When you break the local family and the family unit of community, when you break that apart and go to global, then you separate out that heart connection, that fabric of life that keeps us safe. I mean, look, in COVID-19, where is the help coming from? The help is coming from your neighbors. Neighbors helping neighbors, right?
Well, if you look at all the good that's been done since COVID-19, where the environment's getting better and people are starting to look at their community more for getting what it is that they need, and talking to community, I truly believe that that's what's going on, is that we are going to start to look at our smaller communities, rather than depending on like Tyson, the meat company, and isn't it called Tyson?
Yeah, it's called Tyson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not named after me.
But their plants, like down in Texas, the water around there is horrible because of their plants. So for me to get rid of that kind of meat, which I would never buy anyway, ever in a million years, or anything that was even near that, I believe that Americans need to go back to simplicity, and we are a society of obese. There are no limits, there are no boundaries. We have hoarders galore. People aren't cleaning, they're not they're not respecting themselves at all anymore. And it's, I believe, because we don't respect what it is that we're eating. If you don't respect from the ground up, and you're not getting that vibration of love and light in your food, it's going to come out in you in anger and in angst. And,
Absolutely.
and
It's
I
gonna
don't
make
care. And you look at places, where there's the poorest of the poor, used to eat actually like kale and yeah, they didn't get the best of the pig or the cow, but they made do with it, and they were healthy and strong and vibrant beings. They're not anymore. It's completely opposite. I think this is an excellent thing that the food chain has been broken.
Yeah, it's really important
100%.
to talk about this. I can't remember the book. Sarah's done a lot. She's actually has a degree in this whole area. Can't remember the book. Sarah's not in the room, so I can't ask her. But it's research that was done with Indigenous people around the world that came off of their Indigenous diet onto a white man's diet, and it shows how their mouths were broad and wide in their teeth, and there was no hygienic problems whatsoever. Now their jaws and everything are narrowed down. They're losing teeth. They have infections. They have all sorts of problems, right?
Our smiles are crooked now. Our ears used to be match from our mouth to the bottom of our ear, and the more your ear goes up and in, the more your mother was healthy when she was pregnant with you. There's so many things that the face will tell you of your health and your well-being, and how you were actually in utero, what kind of health your parent was in. And it's horrible now. It's horrible. But these kids that are being born now, they don't want meat. They want vegetables and fruits. That's, every mother comes in. If they find out that it's a chicken and what a chicken is, and they can put 2 and 2 together, they don't want to eat it.
Yeah, they make it really, really clear.
Here, this is the post from Bette Midler that I was talking about. Maybe Trump is the president we deserve. Maybe we have become so corrupt, amoral, materialistic, greedy, and ruthless, manipulative, and such liars that he really does represent who we really are. Maybe we have been fooling ourselves the whole time. That was from Bette Midler.
Yeah, he's exposing the underbelly of America. He's bringing out all the stuff that's underneath the surface, like racial disagreements. But this is, we talked about the women's lib and how and who is behind it. Who caused women's liberation, who caused Black Lives Matter. Whatever that is to bring division is the way that you divide and conquer. That's the way we do it, right? Divide and conquer. So when are Americans going to wake up and realize that whether you vote Democrat or Republican makes no difference whatsoever. I'm going to say it again. Whether you vote Democrat or Republican makes no difference whatsoever. You're going to get the same agenda, right? Yeah, I may have chocolate swirls on top or candy cane on the side or something, but it's the same dessert. You're being fed the same stuff, right? And by the way, it's not good for you, right? It's too sweet. It's sweetness covering over an oligarchy that's run by major corporations. So yeah, it's time for America to wake up. God bless America.
I think it's going to happen. I don't think that we're going to have a choice. I think it's gonna come down to, people don't know what's going on right now with how they're going to pay their bills, and you put us all back to work, and you think that it's all going to be fine and dandy and go back to the way it was in January of 2020. I have a very I think we're going to have a big old wake up call when they figure out what's actually been done to us, and that will put them in more fear, which will then put your arm out, get $20 to get your what's his name put in you.
Chip.
The chip. What's his name?
Chips are not
The Bill Gates. the gates, right there, the gates.
Yeah,
I'm
stay
the
off the gate.
I'm the gatekeeper.
Yeah, the gatekeeper.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because there's
So
a
we got 10 minutes to go, everybody. It's time for you to phone in and change the subject here. I'll answer your question about dowsing and energy healing. 1-866-369-7464. Yeah.
Have you been watching the Schumann resonance lately?
Yeah, my buddy said, what do I know? I don't know much about the human resonance. It's the heartbeat of Mother Earth. I think that, if you think about if as above, so below. So, a mother heart, speeding up probably is not a good thing. Maybe she's in a bit of stress, right?
We're going to have the pole shifts,
Well, all these are scenarios if we don't get our proverbial shit together, right? I mean, the whole legend of Turtle Island is the world, the earth as we know it is supported on the back of a giant turtle that's not nurtured and sustained, will roll over and sink beneath the waves. And we're on the second, everything happens in threes. So we had Lemuria, we had Atlantis, and now we have America. So, do we really want that to happen? Do we want the San Andreas fault to fall into the ocean? Do we want America to sink? Not particularly. So let's come up with a better timeline. And look, we're at the same timeline as we were in the previous incarnations.
Right.
We blew it in Lemuria, and we blew it in Atlantis. We blew it in Egypt. And here we are again. We're at the same friggin' crossroads.
Egypt was after Atlantis. But let's talk about how we stay in the place so that we can ascend.
We stay in our heart. We stay in our high heart.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, or let's do a clearing on going into our
Into your blah, blah, blah.
our high heart. Oh,
Right.
say the bell.
Here's Bill Heinrich. Hi, Bill. Welcome to the Wellness Show.
Hey, Tyson, it's Bill Henderick. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good to hear you, Bowen.
I just, I wanted to call in and just congratulate you on what a great job you're doing. Absolutely wild, changing time.
Yeah, it is wild, changing times. And how are you doing? Have you got your Winnebago on the road, or are you camped out somewhere? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm actually, I just started my book tour for the 7 Elements of Truth and got to Santa Fe, Albuquerque, New Mexico area one day before the shutdown. So I'm just sitting still in Albuquerque.
Well, it's a good place to be if you're going to be for a while, don't you?
Albuquerque?
Yeah, no idea how long I'm going to be here.
Right.
It's just I'm still adjusting primarily to the overall energy on the planet today. It's been just very strange.
Yeah, it has been strange. It's been really strange for me. I've had absolute bliss working with my coach and an experience of full body enlightenment, and then excruciating pain at the end of the day with my muscles like as tight as cords in my neck. And so I've gone from sublime to ridiculous in less than 8 hours, right?
Yeah. I've noticed how fast it changes, where one day I have a good day and the next day it feels like I'm locked down. It's just amazing.
Right. Like being on a yo-yo string.
Yeah.
So
it's really, go ahead.
yeah, I was just thinking about you and your book, and I was thinking about, your divine gifts and helping people come into the truth of who they are and, why they incarnated and what this, path is all about. And we were just about to talk about that on the show. We were trying to get out of the, I think Laura was trying to turn me around and saying, oh, well, let's get out of this conspiracy theory. What do you mean? How do you get into your heart? How do you experience full body enlightenment? How do you do this? How do we help bring about the new timeline of the new earth? And I know that's something that you've been working on in your own way with the books that you published, right, Bill?
Yeah. I've been working with this 10 years now. And my latest book is The 7 Levels of Truth, which is available on Amazon. But the message that I have for everyone today is our only guidance
guidepost into the future is our heart. It's vibration. If you don't understand vibration, it is time to learn how to get inside of you and to connect with that vibration, because what we used to know as the world is gone.
It's gone,
and,
yeah.
And we have, as I sit here, and I'm very fortunate. I've been guided to be in a great place. But I'm sitting here and have no idea what the future holds. Zero. Of course, remaining absent of expectations and just getting more connected to the energy and what feels right, because that's the only guidepost we're going to have moving forward, is setting intentions and working with them energetically, not being connected into the physical and physical results.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because we have no idea what's going to happen.
Mhm.
It's actually a very, very exciting time from that standpoint.
And we get
Yeah,
to
it
make
is a very
our
exciting
whole-
time, because
our
it's
whole
really
basket.
the time that you've been talking about. I mean, your struggle of overcoming your own fear from your childhood on, and the parenting and everything, and finding yourself, and your near-death experience, and God knows what all. I mean, this has not been easy for you to come to this understanding, and I think that's part of your message to everybody on the call, is that build. Instead of living the American dream where you become the rich person, you became an American kid that came from the normal situation and learned how to find his way back to source. And he's on that path. I can't say that he's always there, and neither am I, but at least we know we're on the path, and we know what it is to be in our heart. And we do everything we can and during the day to be there. Would that be safe to say, Bill?
Well, it's impossible to always be there, because we've incarnated in the physical.
Right.
It's all about learning. It's all about learning lessons. And as you and I have worked together in the past, and it's really fantastic to see how you're moving the energy of your purpose, and just how divine it is, the work that you do. But because of these lessons that we're here to learn, you just can't stay in the spiritual space all the time. We're in the physical. We need to learn to move energy into the physical.
Mhm.
And the beauty of what I've learned to teach people is creating awareness and thoroughly understanding when you're not there.
Yeah, how to get back there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's like you're in the middle of a storm, and you choose to hunker down and just kind of ride the storm out and not try and make choices that will cause more disruption in your life later on, because none of us are perfect.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, when you learn to follow energy, all the things that you talk about on your show, as you learn to follow that energy, that is the only truth we have. There's nothing else true. Nothing in the physical is true. It's all a bunch of people's perceptions, opinions, and desire to control outcomes.
Right.
And if you follow your heart, you can always follow the path of truth, because we each have our own individual truth. And when you're working, I do a lot of teaching now just on vibration. And a vibration is just a vibration, right? That's it. There's nothing more, nothing less, and it's either expanding or contracting.
Yeah, and there's no value judgment on it. The universe doesn't care about value judgments or good, bad, or rotten. It's just energy.
There's no right or wrong. The universe is just in a constant state of expansion, and you can only speak to it. Like I tell people, the universe can't say no, N-O, but it does say no, K-N-O-W, and the only way it can know what you're creating is through your vibration.
Right. And so this is what we were talking about, we have to do this work individually and collectively. The sum total of us doing all this is what creates the world that we're about to inhabit. So we encourage everybody to wake up, smell the coffee, understand where your food's coming from at the local level, be responsible community neighbor. The old American values are the values that are really important now. It's take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, take care of your neighborhood, right? That's what's important. And where's your food coming out? And do you have good, clean water? And did you plant your garden? That's the other thing.
Can I ask Bill a question?
Yeah, Lara wants to ask a question, Bill.
Yes.
Do you have any advice on how to increase your vibration?
Well, the only way that you can do that is through awareness. In other words, you have to connect to the stories and beliefs that you have inside of you that don't serve you anymore. You have to understand those. And if you don't understand those, they're just going to keep recurring and causing constant disruption. And the other part of that is that everyone else around you isn't, they're living life with a blindfold on, making decisions based on who they aren't. Right. So your only guidepost can come from within, because anything outside of you is going to be significantly contaminated energetically. And you've got to be able to connect to the engine that creates it all, which is your heart, is what creates that vibration. But it's the stories and beliefs inside of you. I've been doing this work now 10 years. I worked with Tyson for quite a while. In fact, Tyson and I met in Chicago back, I don't know how many years ago, but we had a great breakfast together one morning and really connected. It's all about understanding what's going on inside of you. And then you constantly are at choice point, and you must float every thought, word, and action from your internal vibration, bring your energy. What's the energy beneath everything that you're thinking, saying, and doing, regardless of what's going on in the physical, because we really have no control over how it's going to manifest in the physical, but we do have control how we can energetically influence it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And just to let people know, if you want to know more about this, we do have an online program. It's a 3-month program, at $9.97. We'll help you determine what your 3 dominant divine gifts are, what's in the way, how to get back into the truth of who you be in your heart. And also, what is this incarnation all about, and what are your unique gifts that you are here to deliver to the world? So this is really Bill's work, and I've been certified as a coach under Bill, so that's what we can offer you. Get you from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time, get you into your heart.
So basically what he's saying is,
when you understand that.
Yeah, it does make all the difference in the world. What did you say, Laura?
So basically what Bill is saying is, do your inner work, figure out what's blocking you to increase your vibration. So I want to simplify it for our listeners. Simplify.
Yeah, it's no different than the deep clearing protocol. It's just doing it at a different level. This is at the life level of why did you incarnate in the first place? What are you here to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all have different life lessons. We all have a different life purpose. And we all come from different backgrounds with different influences that create the facade that makes up the things that block us. And what people say, like I was talking to a client the other day, they're like, oh no, I did all that work with the anger and such that I had with my father. In that particular case, it had to do with abuse. And I've already taken care of that. And I said, well, then it's running your life. And they're like, what do you mean? I've had the energy. I said, no, it never leaves. You have to go love it, understand it, and find the moment you become defensive, you're allowing yourself to be subject to contamination of energy. There's nothing to defend. You have to understand these lessons, and you have to understand what's contaminating your energy. You're never going to get it perfect, but with the more awareness you have at least you'll know where you're at, and you can make a much higher conscious choice to change.
And you're not overwhelmed by it, right?
Well, it's worse than that, Tyson, because when you get overwhelmed by it, was like Laura was saying earlier. It's the mirror of what's going on outside of you that's going on inside of you.
Right.
But what really happens is, it's as simple as this. There's no question we come to life there's 38 different life paths for lessons. And we each have our own life path for lessons. Well, if you're here to learn a lesson, then that means there's something you don't know. You're here to learn something. Because of that, you're operating with blind spots. And when we're born, what happens is, when we're born, we come in, I like to say, with this little manila folder under our arm with our life lessons, right? And all of your perceptions are skewed because you have these blind spots because of your life lesson, and you develop perceptions, beliefs, and stories that don't serve you anymore. And you can't have an emotion without a story. You can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Stories
Let's talk about that this morning.
So when you see something outside of you, it ignites that story or belief inside of you in your subconscious 7 to 10 seconds before you even realize what's going on, and you immediately go into reaction.
Right.
You have to understand them. That's the only way you can make powerful choices. I know you and I went through that for some period of time, really very deeply, and then it clicked for you.
Yeah, I remember the exact moment it clicked for me.
Yeah, and everything changed, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. If you're defensive about a story that you're running, then you're not through that story.
Right. That's so true.
If you depend on any story, you're in trouble.
Right.
Okay?
No stories.
Because
Laura's giggling here because that's really what we say. We tell our clients, look, we've heard your story, and you need to know that we're going to interrupt you if you get into your story. No stories.
right.
So we're both giggling here because that's where we're coming from as coaches, right?
Right.
Right. In fact, the first book I wrote, and I'll give you the link if anybody wants it free, it's called Clarity Has No Story.
Clarity Has No Story. We'll put the link in the show notes.
And that's the book, and the link is myfreebook.me.
myfreebook.me.
When you have clarity, you just make powerful choices.
Right.
When you're not committed, then you have confusion.
Yeah, you're almost on automatic pilot. You're really caught in the matrix. So you're running these default programs.
And when people do the deep cleaning protocol,
Yeah, you're making decisions based on who you are. What did you say, Laura?
when people do the deep cleaning protocol, when I go through 15 with them and get them to go down deeper and deeper and deeper into their childhood traumas and their stories, that's where I get the most healing from them and the most benefit. Like, they change almost instantly. One of my clients was bullied as a child. We put it into the deep cleaning protocol, and 2 days later, after 22 years, that bully showed up in front of his face, and he faced his demon for the first time in 22 years. Now tell me the deep cleaning protocol doesn't work. I beg to differ over and over and over and over, and I got thousands of stories just like this one.
Yeah, she's talking about the deep clearing protocol that I don't know if you know anything about, Bill, but it's something I created from many master dowsers and put together 64 clearing statements that thousands of people use worldwide, that for about 80 to 95% of the population bust them loose from their story. Some of them in the last 5%, we have to do deeper work, like removing toxic emotions, storylines, core fractures, unresolved conflict. But most of them, by doing the deep clearing for 21 days, can get themselves free of their stories.
But most of it that stops them is their story. That's why we were laughing.
Yeah, what stops them is their stories, right?
Yeah, and when you have a story, your tendency is going to be protect it.
Yeah.
And when you're protecting it, then you're in your intellect. There's only two emotions, love and fear. Love comes from your heart, inside. Fear only comes from your head, outside of you.
Right.
And to have fear, you have to go to the past or to the future. It's impossible to encounter fear in the present moment.
That's why it's an illusion, right? It's an illusion. You can't be in the present and have fear.
You can't. It's not possible.
Right.
You know, and love and fear, you know, there's a saying, fear knocked on the door and love answered, but no one was there because they can't coexist.
Right.
They cannot coexist.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, actually.
And that's really the message we've been saying is, look, if you can get into your heart, receive good, clear guidance, right? Then you're going to be in the right place at the right time, no matter what's happening, whether COVID-19 or lockdowns or chips or to be chipped or not to be chipped, all becomes not relevant because you'll always be in the right place at the right time. It's just that simple.
Always. There's nothing wrong. There's only one thing wrong with the universe, and that's your perception of it.
I'm giggling. There's only one thing wrong with the universe, and that's your perception of it. Well, Bill, thanks for showing up at this show. I greatly appreciate it. We're well past the hour, but this conversation really put the icing on the cake. And thank you ever so much. And feel free to, from your wherever you are parked, you can phone in anytime on the show, and we'll have another chat.
I would love to do that, Tyson. It's nice to connect with you again. I've always loved our connection and the fact that we're soul brothers. It's just, I wanted to let you know how great the work is that you're doing. It's really a blessing for the planet.
Well, thank you, Bill, and enjoy your time just looking through the scenery and seeing the craziness that's happening around you and being still and thin. What could be better than that? You're in a nice, safe place. All right, bye for now. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We're going to call this a wrap. Thanks for showing up. We're back on the air, same time, same place tomorrow. And thank you, Bill, for showing up. If you're interested in this program, we'll have the links in the show notes. The 3-month program at $9.97. What are your divine gifts? Why did you incarnate? What are your unique superpowers? What are you here to deliver to the world? And then as a business coach, I can help you bring that into existence. So if this last conversation resonates with you and you want to have some help, then we have the program for you, right? mydivinegifts.com. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. It's been a pleasure. And from conspiracy to your heart, it's a short journey. As they say, the longest journey is from your head to your heart, but let's make it the smallest, shortest journey from your head to your heart. Let's just get there quick, okay? Bye for now.
Bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.